It's the Power Trip After Party Podcast, presented by Evans Transportation.
Yeah, there it is. Cool. Thank you. Cy should be calling us any second on one of those phone lines over there.
All right.
So eat a bag of dicks.
Well, we're rolling, and we can. I mean, we don't have to. I'll probably cut that.
Whatever.
Because that'd be pretty shocking.
If I asked you to eat a bag of dicks?
Yeah.
It'd be even more shocking if you did.
Louis C.K.'s bit about that is.
I don't know. I guess I don't know it. What is it?
He just basically is like, how do you? What is a bag of, like? Do you? Because it was like somebody's like, I guess it was suck a bag of dicks. But he goes, do you like just suck all of them individually, one by one? Just just.
I never thought about it. I guess that would be that'd be a determination you have to make at the time, I would guess.
Do you just like dig in there and
Yeah, I think so.
How do you eat a bag of dicks?
How do I eat a bag of dicks?
Yeah, like one at a time.
I think you eat them individually, right?
Yeah, that's exactly. How
do you eat a bag of dicks?
I mean, it depends on the occasion.
On what?
If I'm at home, I just sort of dig in there. But
how do you eat a bag of dicks at a park?
At a park?
Yeah.
Oh, it's very simple. You get a basket. You get a basket of dicks.
Wow. Are you looking at this? Yeah, that's gym girls and fitness
models. You like
models.
muscly chicks.
I like all chicks, man. Yeah. They can have muscles or no muscles. In fact, I guess I want some to have a list. I want them to be able to stand up straight. I need to have some muscles, I guess. I don't want them to be like a pile of oil.
What?
I need them to have some kind of muscles to actually so they can move around a little bit.
Is Musk dead? The phone's ringing.
Oh, here we go.
I don't think he's dead. I think he's on vacation.
Here you go, Hawk.
Cy!
Hello!
Hi, Cy.
Hello, daddies. How are you?
Welcome
Good. How are
to
you?
the After Party Podcast. We were already having a completely, totally worthless discussion before you called in. So thanks for saving the listeners from just wasting their time completely. How the hell are you, man?
I'm good. Was it about light bulbs?
Let's see. This time it was not about light bulbs.
No.
If you ever go back and listen to the podcast, let me just give you the spoiler. The first 2 to 3 minutes was how to properly eat a bag of dicks.
Yeah.
Because I said that he could do that, and they were breaking down what it would really be like to eat a bag of those.
And how you would do it.
Yeah.
One at a time, like a superhero. I mean, what are you talking about?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what Sauce says. That's so
that
crazy.
Was
He
the
said the exact
consensus.
same
That was
thing.
my
One at a
answer.
time.
That's so crazy. You know what's weird, by the way? Am I the only one weirded out by bully sticks for your dogs?
Yeah, aren't they bull dick?
Yeah, that's what they are. It grosses me the hell out. And they're doggy breath, and then they want to lick your face, and you're like, wait a minute. Go ahead. Right, Cy? Just let them do it. Just let them be happy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think 90% of the things in the world are just penises. So I don't, everything we look at is, if a drill looks like a penis, everything's a penis. So
Yeah, missiles and penises.
Microphones.
Hey, Sauce, I have a question.
Me, yeah. Go ahead. Fire away.
Question following up off the end of the show.
Sure.
Two things. What kind of light bulb is it, man? Is it, because side note, one of my greatest fears is falling now that my body is decrepit. So I'm with you. If like somebody knocks me over, you might as well just bury me right there.
Yeah.
But don't they make like long sticks? Like I have one of these grabber things, like an elderly person, like old women use to get sauce from the top shelf.
Yeah.
Don't they make one of those for light bulbs, right?
So, yeah, I have like these, I don't know how to explain it, but and you're not in the studio, but they're like, it's a light fixture where you plug in the light bulb. Like you buy these like light, so I have to go all the way up there, unplug the old one, take the old one down, and then put the old one back in and plug it back in. And it's all the way on the top of my ceiling, so that's how I have to do that. And yeah, there are moments where I'm like, I'm going to fall and bust my head open and it's going to be the end of me because I have concrete floors in my place. So falling is a big fear of mine. Plus, I don't wear shoes when I do it, which is probably stupid. I'm on this old wooden rickety ladder. But yeah, it's not like I just screw in the light bulb. So yeah, it's a process.
I always view you as so successful because you're very funny and you do well and you guys have the most popular show. But you just described a man with no shoes on a rickety ladder with like concrete floors.
Yeah.
What do you live in one of the houses on Hee Haw? What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
It sounds like it. He lives in a nice apartment downtown, but he does have concrete floors, and apparently he has a light bulb that goes out about every 2 or 3 days. I'm not sure what's going on with your electricity.
I haven't replaced him in a while, and yesterday was the day I had to do it.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you finally got that off your list.
You can come over to Hee Haw anytime you want.
I would love to, because they had some chicks with huge rocks on Hee Haw, man. I used to love that show. I didn't even know why I was tingling downstairs, but I loved it, man. Hee Haw was the greatest.
What is that about hillbillies where, like, everybody loves boobs, but what is it about hillbillies? And I'm not calling you a hillbilly.
No, please
Chris,
do.
I'm
Yeah.
a hillbilly, and I happen to know you're a hillbilly. Why are they so obsessed with, like, huge? Like, I had an Uncle John who he got his hair cut at the same woman every time, and he told me once, he goes, "You got to go over there because she'll lean on and put them big old titties on your back." Like, God damn, that's what you think?
Dude,
that's why you...
Is she still cutting hair?
Is she still cutting hair? Where is she?
Yeah.
Man, I don't know what it is.
If we can...
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear us very well or what's going on inside, but I don't know what it is about us hillbillies and titties, but you're right. I love them. And again, I have to say this all the time. I'm not a breastist. I like small ones too, but the bigger the better, man. I want there to be a danger of smotherification when I lay down in bed with a young lady.
See, and I don't. You know what? We should talk about anything else in the world, but. No, I just don't get. There gets to a point you're like, I don't. That's a lot. It's a lot. I don't know. It's a lot.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you have that, Hawk, and I'm not gonna go at you about it. I'm gonna let you live your life.
Dude, thank you. I appreciate that.
That's kind of you, man.
Now listen. I don't want to get too far off base here because, well, number one, we're excited because we finally get to see your face in studio, play the initials on Friday, and we've got it all set up. We'll make sure you're in a safe studio and everything like that. But in order to get to that point in the conversation, and people may be wondering, where the hell has Cy Amundson been? I mean, he was a big part of what was going on with the Vikings Entertainment Network. He had a podcast that was rolling. We'd hear him on the Power Trip from time to time when he got bored. And then he kind of disappeared, and there's a reason for that. So tell me what has been going on with your health, if you don't mind.
What if I was just like, I actually got canceled? Said some shit on the internet and just got canceled. No, This will be fun. This will be a fun piece of the story for Corey, because what I've been doing to Corey about Corey, what about 4 to 6 months? I call him when I'm having a decent day, and I'm like, I got an idea. And every time Corey goes, dude, whatever you want, I'm in. And then I just fucking disappear for 4 more months. That has been the methodology. So like 5-6 years ago, I think everybody knew I started having like a shitty back. Corey and I used to talk about our backs. And then it just got worse and worse and worse until my dad had a shitty back. And no one could figure, they just like assumed, oh, here comes the shitty family back. But mine was kind of so debilitating. And I went and got all these tests and saw all these specialists for years and years. And then actually, Hawk, a friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours, Alyssa, she was at one of my shows, but literally the last time I performed on stage, Chad Daniels and I did a live podcast, and Alyssa was in the audience, and she sent me an Instagram message like, hey, have you ever heard of any of these diseases? And I was like, yes. They, checked me for all of them. I don't have them. And she works in that industry, and she's like, no. And then she became like this unbelievable advocate for me and like helping me find the right doctors, helping me do all this stuff. And then, this is wild, but after like 6 years of insane kind of suffering, we found like some weird patches on my heels. And we went into this place, Terrene Dermatology in the cities, and the dermatologist comes in, and she's super nice, and she goes, oh, that's just a little psoriasis, no big deal. And she stood up to like, I'll write you a prescription and leave. But because these autoimmune, like inflammatory diseases that they thought I had, but there was no proof of it, like some people don't test with the blood levels with like the spiked inflammation and all these other ways. And there's like some genetic markers and stuff. But one of the ways, if you have the symptoms I have, if all of a sudden you develop or have psoriasis, boom, it's an inflammatory, you have psoriatic arthritis or something in that field, which is basically, for me, it's an inflammatory arthritis of the spine.
Oh.
And yeah, and so when she said that, it was wild. When she said that, my wife and I immediately knew what it meant. And we both started not kind of crying, but almost fucking wailing.
Yeah.
I've been there.
A relief, And she was she has to go, just psoriasis. And then she picked up on it and she got us to this great doctor. And so a year ago, December 31st, I officially got diagnosed with one of these inflammatory arthritis diseases. And since then, the first year of it was a pretty big battle. Because you're trying to get on some meds, you're trying to see what meds work, if any will work. And that's when it got really wild, where I couldn't have more than a 5-minute. I'll tell you why. When I called you the other day, Hawk, I was so excited to come in studio. And even now, I've been telling this part of the story for 4 minutes now. It feels like 1,000 years, for 4 minutes. And there was a point in time where, if I had to talk for 5 minutes in a row, it would flare my throat up, then flare my neck up. And so, I wasn't having more than 5 to 10 minute phone calls. When Chad and I did our show, we'd have to take breaks or we'd have to have guests on, so I wouldn't have to talk a lot. And you're a comedian in theory, and so you see everything you've built. You're like, so now I'm going to hurt all the time and not talk? Fucking dope. And so it was, and it just kind of was this, kept being, even after the diagnosis, this downhill slide. And then we made the decision to, for at least a while, move down to Cincinnati because there's a specialist down here. And, man, he's been, and his team, they've been incredible. And I'm still struggling. I'm still stiff all the time, and I'm dealing with 24/7 chronic pain and stiffness stuff. But you can look back and go, oh man, now I'm standing more upright, and I can come on. I'm so excited to come in, and I haven't been on anything in 2-3 years, and it's not just because of the pandemic, So I'm finally at the point where the voice has come back to where Corey's going to get a call from me every 2 months that I don't follow through on.
Wow.
And so I'm pretty excited. So it's still a long ways to go, but it's for the first time in 6 years, I feel like I'm on an upward trajectory instead of a constant downward one.
Well, we have to take a break because of Evans Transportation sponsoring this, being kind enough to sponsor the after party, and let everybody know a little bit more about them. But when we come back, I got to know, man, and this is a hell of a tease for going into the break. Were you able to take care, were you able to wipe your own butt and stuff like that? I mean, this sounds like if you couldn't talk for 5 minutes, were you able to take care of yourself? Now don't answer the question because this is a hell of a tease for people to come back after this short break, thanks to Evans Transportation. And we're back. So I asked you about wiping your ass right before the break, and everybody's holding their breath, literally and figuratively. But with all these terrible issues that you had going on, were you basically disabled to the point where you couldn't take care of yourself in that way?
So basically the condition, I say it like it turns you into the Tin Man, where you really stiffen up and you can't move very well. And the mornings are the worst, where it's 2 hours before you're moving as normally as you'll move for the day. You kind of take I always thought I really cared about the environment, and now in the morning I take the sort of shower that I am literally ruining the planet. I'm like the guy. But so what happened, as the spine got stiffer and it didn't move very well, that really fucked with the shoulders and the hips. And so I don't know if any of you guys ever dealt with like a frozen shoulder, but my right shoulder completely froze to where, like, you know, if you were to flap your arms like you're doing the chicken dance,
Yeah.
my elbow wouldn't go more than like 2 inches off of my rib cage on the right side.
Man. Wow.
And that was, so I was like, this is before my diagnosis. Like, I'm like down to one arm. I'm like one of those monkeys that they teach to eat with its feet.
Yeah.
Like, I'm learning how to do shit all special. And it got to the point where, like, my left shoulder started getting bad. And I don't want to minimize war, but, you know, I assume if you're in, like, you know, when you're watching one of those, like, video game, like the war video games, and you see an entire army, like, getting through the barriers of a castle, making its way to the king, and some of them are dying, but you're like, oh no, there's too many getting through. That's kind of what it felt like to take shit as my left arm froze.
Oh my God.
That sounds
like,
awful.
Oh no, a couple more inches and this is gonna not be awesome.
Oh.
I remember the day that it happened, where I went to try to finish up, and I was like, well, I can't do that anymore. And so I called my wife into the bathroom, and she walks in, and I tell her what's going on, and she takes a deep breath, and she goes, bummer. And that was all she said. So,
bummer.
So we took care of it, and, you know, but then we're like, well, this can't be. Because, you know, I think when you get married, you know, there's a chance that at some point you're going to wipe the other person's ass. I think that's maybe somewhere deep in your subconscious.
Sure.
But nobody thinks, like, probably in their 30s, you know?
Yeah.
Why not just get back into the shower side?
Their baby.
Why not just go straight into the shower instead of having your wife do it?
So it's not, and that was one of our solutions. But the problem is, it doesn't matter, like, butthole is inside the butt.
Yeah. Right.
So
What?
unless you can get your arms back there to get you some space, you know. But I'll tell you how we tried to solve it. We were like, no, we're not the wipe your ass couple yet.
Oh.
Like, we were determined. And so the other thing is, because my low back had been so bad, I have one of those. You know how when people get real elderly, if they sit down on a regular toilet, they're like, well, I just live here now. They can't stand back up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we bought me one of those elevated plastic toilet seats. And I remember when I bought that, the kid at Walmart was like, we had to buy one of these for my grandma too. And I was like, correct. That is why I got it.
Right.
And we're like, what about a bidet? You know, that's like, that'll clean you up, and probably there's some fun there, right?
Right.
I'm in on a bidet. So we order a bidet, and it gets there, and we're both in the bathroom, and it won't hook on to the medically elevated toilet seat.
Oh.
So we remove that, and we try to put it low, and I kind of sit down on it low, and it hurts too much. It's a no-go. But we're not quitters. So I went on. I found, like, every attachable bidet I could find. I've ordered 7 more bidets. And we get them all to the house. And so we took 7 bidets into our bathroom. And one by one, we watched them fail.
Oh, the worst.
All the way through it, and the 8th one failed. And you know how performative, like, make no mistake about it, like, this has been a really hard thing for my wife and I in our relationship, because it changed the dynamic, and, you know, it very much hasn't been easy on us as a couple. But I will say, you know how people get real performative about their love?
Yeah.
Facebook and shit, where they're like, my husband Jeff works 60 hours a week and coaches Tony's team and still lets me fuck off. And you're like, Jeff's love is the best love. You're like, Jeff doesn't have shit on 8 failed bidets love.
Right.
that moment where you sit in a bathroom with 8 failed bidets and look at your wife, who you've been married to for like a year and a half, and you're like, hey, man, we're like, and at this point we have no diagnosis. We're like, you just wipe my ass now. And that's who we are as people. And that's, so fuck Jeff. He's got nothing on us. The other crazy thing about that story is, you know how, I remember right after I bought all those, you know how the algorithm is geared towards, if you accidentally look up a clip of Jurassic Park for 6 months, every website you visit tries to sell you Jurassic Park t-shirts.
Yeah.
When you buy 8 bidets
Oh my
in 2
God.
calendar weeks, they have no idea what's like. What should we sell this guy? 9 bidets? It's like that movie Inside Out, They've got all the people behind the algorithm. All right, everybody, what are we going to give him? These people pitching wild shit. Like, there's a man in Michigan on Pinterest who sells, coasters made out of raccoon skulls. What about that? People trying to sell me cameras that are definitely not for the bathroom. Wink, wink, shit like that.
Damn, man.
That sucks, dude.
That does suck.
That sounds
that's
awful.
tough.
But I can't. But here's the thing: the show. I can now. We got through it. I'm back. I'm on right now in terms of the disease. I am on the wipes his own ass side of things.
Wow.
Wow.
Congratulations. You know what? I'm
Welcome back.
for you.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. I'm sure your wife is celebrating that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a huge step for both of you, I'm going to guess.
I mean, correct.
Yeah.
No, it's weird, Zach, because you don't, at least yet, have a debilitating disease, but you also have about 8 bidets.
You love bidets.
I love them, man. If you still have them, I'll take the 8 bidets you have. I can't get enough bidets.
My worry with bidets is always going to be, like, I sit down on them and I use them once and I'm like, I love this. And pretty soon it's like, hey, Cy, we know you're not shitting 16 times a day, so
Correct.
what are you doing in there, man?
So I would assume you can't return a bidet. I'm sure bidets are all sales are final, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you not only does your wife have to wipe your ass, you're out of about $200.
Oh, that would be nice if it was that much. And do you know what you also can't do, Sauce? You can't, like, sell a used bidet on Facebook.
Yeah,
Hold on. You can, but the guy who comes to buy it fucking knows your address now. Like,
Yeah.
you can't sell a used bidet.
And he's wearing a dirty diaper of some sorts.
Yeah, he's the guy that shows up. Yeah, he shows up with a pacifier in his mouth.
Correct. His mom bathes.
Zach, would you buy a used bidet?
If it's like, slightly used.
Well, so the ones that
Why buy
Cy
new?
tried, they
Yeah.
failed, but he probably didn't have a lot of usage.
No,
You would take a couple off of his hands?
You're a Cy Amundson fan, right? I mean,
Of course.
Yeah. Have Cy sign
Can you
it,
sign-
then
yeah,
you're
I
all
was gonna
over it.
say. I'll take it.
Oh, it's been signed.
Oh no.
Oh.
so when you found out more about your disease, is it something that's super duper rare? Is that part of the reason it was so hard to get diagnosed?
No, it's wild. We talked about this 100 years ago on this show when Corey was asking about people getting offended at comedy shows, and I said it's kind of like when you have something horrible happen, you get like pulled out of that matrix, and you now recognize, like, my sister died in a car accident, so my whole family is pulled out of the tragic car accident matrix, and we know it's a reality. And so then you just look at the world differently. And I think once you get one of these, you realize how insanely, like, there's all different levels. I think there's a lot of people that are where I was at and their life is, semi-ruined or really difficult. And then there are people who are much worse. And then there's a lot of people who are managing, but it's, Humira, which is the drug I'm on, which is the thing you see all, like, if you watch commercials, it's like 70-80% of them are for these, they're called biologic drugs.
Yeah.
And that's what all these people are on. So it's, it's all inflammatory based. So whether it's, Crohn's disease, a lot of stomach stuff, a lot of spinal rheumatoid arthritis, all these things. So they're more popular than you think. They're really hard to diagnose because there's not just a test for it. And so that's why a lot of people go through such a hard process getting diagnosed. And it's why for me, it took 6 years from when my symptoms started. And that's a main thing that is getting worked on down here is, when you don't move properly and you're stiff for 6 years, it's not just like the inflammation has to go away out of your joints or be better controlled. It's, hey, your muscles haven't moved forever. And there's this thin layer, like a sheeting around your muscles, fascia. Obviously, you guys, I felt you probably know what that is. I didn't need to explain it like that.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
It is, it's a day-to-day. I'm being a condescending asshole. But it that stuff like rock hard and adheres kind of to the muscles. So it's this process of, I think what happens to a lot of people is they don't get diagnosed for 5-10 years. The average time to diagnosis is so long that by that point they're just in a really difficult situation.
Yeah, that's the worst, man.
Well, either way, it's going to be sweet to see you on Friday.
Yeah, man. And it's, hopefully you'll be able to get back to some sort of being able to literally do stand-up. It's hard to do stand-up if you can't stand up.
Yeah. It sure is. I'll tell you. Can I tell you one more story?
Of course.
Oh, dear God. Yes, please.
I mean, I could tell you 100, but I'll tell you one. The thing with thinking about doing stand-up is I don't have the only thing I have to talk about. You talk about your life. You're like, that's what all this shit is.
Yeah.
But so when we first moved to our new house right before we moved down here in Minnesota. So we moved and then we moved right down here. And so I don't know, you guys struggle with directions. Like if you take me a mile from my house and take my phone away from me, you might as well just shoot me and roll me into a river. Is that a thing for you guys?
100%,
yeah. Oh yeah.
100%. Yeah.
So, by the way, and that's I don't think that's like you're not capable. Every old fucking man you meet acts like that is like a slight. It's just because we got used to phones.
Yeah.
My dad he's like, how do I get there? And if I happen to know the roads, I'll go like, you go right here and left there. He goes, okay, so north on 22 and then west on Landon. Like, fuck off. Fuck out of here with that old man shit. But I'm the worst. So we had just moved up to Coon Rapids, and I didn't know anything yet. It's like first week, and I had an appointment, and I can drive. I can't. It's weird. I can't. It's all about getting into the right positions to allow my body. So like my car seat is set exactly the way it needs to be, so I can deal with driving 30, 40 minutes without it sucking.
Yeah.
And but I can't ride in the passenger seat or anything like that. Not to mention my wife likes to start and stop like she's playing Grand Theft Auto. And so I'm going to this appointment and I have my phone on my dash with the directions, and I get a text, and I make the cardinal sin of I was going to tap it on the screen, and I put my hand towards it, and it tumbles, and it goes in between the console and the seat.
It's over.
And I think for a normal human being, that's a bummer. And for me, I had no chance while I was driving. So I pull off the road and I pull into a parking lot, and I get out, and I very quickly realize I've got no shot with my stiffness of getting this phone out.
Ugh.
And I can't call my wife because my phone is down there. I'm not going to go buy a street map at a gas station like a pervert. I don't even think they do those for city streets. And so I have to ask somebody for help, and it's the only thing. I'm in the parking lot of a Taco Bell, and it's like 11 a.m. And so I kind of want to know what I'm dealing with. So I'm not even really thinking properly, but I walk up, and instead of going right into the Taco Bell, I kind of do when a golfer watches his tee shot, I'm leaning in, doing one of those through the window, seeing who's in the Taco Bell. And there's one table, and it is high school age children. So, the most ruthless people on the planet. And that kind of throws me for a second, because I already knew this was going to be a weird ask, and now it's, legal minors. So I decide to return to my car for a second to kind of regroup and figure out what I'm going to say. And I didn't even think about it in the moment, where that's a pretty big red flag, like peering into an establishment and then returning to your vehicle.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you're in the Taco Bell and you see a gangly late 30s white dude like looking in and then heading back to his car, you're not like, I bet he's up to some good. What do you think, he's going to bring back presents? You're about to be the epicenter of thoughts and prayers is all you're thinking.
Yeah.
And so I figure out what I'm going to say, and I go in, and basically I have it planned out where I'm going to say, hey guys, so this is weird, but I have this, I have an autoimmune disease that screws with my mobility. My phone fell between my seats, and I don't know where I'm at, and I know this is odd, but I need help getting my phone back so I can get home. Pretty well thought out. And I didn't love high school. I got picked up, I think, Sauce, you guys were talking about Homecoming Kings. Was that this morning? A little bit?
I don't know if it was this morning, but yes.
Maybe, yeah. I would, whatever the opposite of that is, that was me. And so I don't know if it's a little high school, and I don't mean to demean PTSD, but a little high school PTSD. But I get in front of these children, and I just fucking fall apart. And the first thing I say, I had all that worked out, and I just go, hey, guys, I have a disease. That's the first thing out of my mouth.
Oh no.
I have a disease.
That is not, that's a rough thing for kids to hear. And then now I'm nervous because they look at me weird like they should. And I go, no, because when I'm new to the area, I'm new. And then my phone fell between my seats, and I stumble all the way through it. And I finish what I'm trying to say. And then one of the girls goes, what's the disease?
Oh.
And which is a great question. That's what I would have asked. I didn't love the tone, but to be fair, she's a high school girl. That might be her nicest tone. Like, we should help people. And so I tell her what the disease is, and immediately all of them are like fact checking me.
Jesus.
And it's this weird thing. Like, I'm just sitting there while they fact check me. And then one of them gives the go ahead. He's like, okay. Like, he's proved it. Like, continue. And then it's 4 boys and 4 girls. And one of the boys goes, okay, so you have a disease that you can't move very well, and your phone fell, and you need one of us to get your phone so you can get back home. And I was like, that is such a good summary. That's correct. Yes. And then they all just sat there for another really long pause. It felt like I was on like some disability version of Shark Tank run by a prom committee.
Brilliant.
And
what a great.
And so then one of them goes, a different one, not the one who summarized, a different boy goes, I'll do it. Like he was volunteering for tribute. And the other boys, I don't think, wanted to be shown up in front of the 4 girls. So like, we'll go with you. So now these 4 boys are going to brave this experience with me. And so we all go outside, and I realized when we step outside, I had left my car door open, my driver's car door, so it just looks like I've set a trap. You know when they try to catch Speedy Gonzalez by using like a string tied to a stick with a box over it? Yeah. That's what it looks. I might as well have a lasso on the ground with the rope running into my pocket.
It's a Buffalo Bill
when he gets
trap.
The phone, he might have, when he gets the phone, he might as well turn around and I've got a $20 bill out of my zipper. Like, you ready to get paid? Like, this looks like a sexual trap. And side note, it shouldn't go unmentioned that this was Ted Bundy's trick.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Right. he would put his arm in his sling, find a pretty lady, be like, I can't get my canoe into my truck, and then murder time. So it's a good thing these were children, because if these were like 38-year-old white women, they'd been like, I listen to true crime. So I had a good group to get through it. And so we get out there, and I say to him, I'm like, guys, okay, just so you know, everything's on the up and up, which at this point, I'm kind of trying too hard to prove I'm not going to molest anyone, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to stand way over here. The phone is there in between that seat and that console. And so they go, okay. And so one boy comes over and like stands by me, and the other two boys are guarding the boy in the car.
Smart.
And which is kind of it's smart, but kind of insulting.
Yeah.
Like, you're only going to put one boy with me? Like, now I feel I'm kind of like, I almost do want to kidnap this kid just to fucking prove a point, because I'm competitive. But it also makes sense, because the moment he goes for the phone, he's like hands down, ass up. And the moment all four of us who aren't getting the phone realize that's the position he's in, everybody looks at me, they're like, okay, was this it? Was this the plan? And so the kid gets the phone out, and he brings it over to me, and he said the wildest thing I've ever heard, given the context. He hands it to me, and he goes, there really was a phone in there. You weren't sure? Like, I appreciate your kindness, but we're going to go from you helping me to me helping you. If you think there's even a chance that somebody's going to steal fuck you, you cannot go into their vehicle, man.
Right.
I don't care how many teenage girls are watching you. You got to, and so that's kind of how it ended. But I think the thing I love about that story, whenever I think about it, is like, they're in high school, so their worldview is still pretty small.
Yeah.
And I think, like, so to them right now, that story is only two things. It's either Jake helped a guy who was sick, or you remember when Jake almost got kidnapped? Like, that's the extent of those two. And because when you're in high school, you don't realize how depraved humanity is.
Ugh.
Like, the weirdest thing you can think of is, like, people have anal sex. And then I'm like 28, and you meet a guy who pays a girl $800 to, like, send him a pair of her shoes that she wore or some shit like that. And you're like, oh, everybody's fucking insane. You're like, you know, Terry gets off watching people hump balloons. And so when those kids get, like, experience the world, if they stay friends at like 24, 25, when they start learning about that stuff, there's no way they're not going to be like, hey, Jake, you remember when you helped that guy with his fetish by getting his phone? Like, there's no way.
Right.
He's a good act for that kid forever.
Man, that's a crazy double standard, because if you said it's, 4 guys, 4 girls, if my high school age daughter is at a Taco Bell by herself and some guy says, come grab my phone out of my car, I hope to God she says, go buy yourself a new fucking phone. I don't care about, like, I would never, ever want her to help you. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, no.
Ever.
Here's the thing. I thought about that. I was like, if I have kids, like, hey, Dad, there's a guy in this Taco Bell. They could tell me the exact same situation that I literally lived, and I'd be like, no, fuck that dude.
No,
Don't go out
Yeah,
No,
there.
he's
correct.
on his
Yeah,
own.
that guy's trash.
Right.
Yeah.
But like, safety in numbers, right? If it's 8 of you, that's one thing. But if it's one individual boy or girl at 16, 17 years old, I'd say you got to stay away from the creepo at Taco Bell baiting you into the parking lot. That's what you teach them when they're 5, right? Is you don't ever get into the car. Doesn't matter if they have a puppy to show you or candy or ice cream. You say no.
Yeah, or a disease. It doesn't matter. Just say, yeah, you absolutely need to say no to that. It's wild. I have been very thankful that people have been kind. But the other thing is, like, it's not I think a lot of people remember when I was a little, I'm fine, but a disease kind of can change your look a little bit. And so I had lost a bunch of weight. I basically look like a combination of Jed Clampett and a raccoon at that point, like just sunk eyes and ratty hair. If I'd have came in selling like dirty bags, everybody'd have been like, yeah, there's the dirty bag sale. Not like they were going out to get in somebody well-to-do's car.
Well, like I said, we've got the entire studio thing set for you on Friday, and we're excited for you to play the Initials game, and we're glad to hear you doing better, man. And it's going to be good. I'm still planning on beating your ass in the Initials game, but I'll be glad to see your face.
Yeah, all I care about, I saw, I don't know, a long time ago, I saw like a ranking of people's points per game.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to like, I'd love to win. But I think I'm okay becoming like the guy who's like the best who never won. So I think I'm trying to put points on the board. I'm trying to become Phil Mickelson, minus the fucked up Saudi stuff.
Right.
Well, we'll see you.
I'm excited.
We'll see you on Friday morning, and take care of yourself, and we'll talk to you later.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you,
brother.
Thanks,
See you
Si.
later.
Love you.
And again, that's Si Amundson.
Bye.
And
Love you guys.
Love you, brother. Si Amundson, and this has been the After Party Podcast, brought to you by friends at Evans Transportation, evanstrans.com. Thank you, Evans Trans, for supporting the podcast, and thank you for listening to the podcast. It's good to hear he's doing better, huh?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, Corey and I did that bit with him. What was that, Corey? Like 4 years ago,
Something
4 or
like
5.
that.
And you could see like it started, like
Yeah.
he was talking about how like he couldn't sit down
Yeah.
very long.
Yeah.
And I didn't always know that he had issues, but he always complained. There was always something that worried him, and I'm glad to hear that he's gotten way better though.
Man, Alyssa McManus is the friend he was talking about, who's my friend, and who saw his concert, and she's a traveling nurse, and she's like, no, you need to be checked for that. What a life changer, what a lifesaver that she was able to do that for
Yeah,
him.
really?
You know? Yeah.
She's great.
Wow.
Yeah, she is the best. So that's cool. So we'll see how he does on Friday morning, but we'll put him in the studio and get him all separated so he doesn't catch anything from you, in particular, Zach, and
Zach.
we'll take it from there.
Cool.
I got to go poop.
Do it.
Bye.
See you later.